The views and opinions expressed by the guests do not necessarily represent King Dre or the Captain Saver Bro Show. Fellas, welcome to the Captain Saver Bro Show, episode 17. I got a special guest, Mr. Locario. He's gonna be chopping up game. But before we get into that, this show is available via Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. If you want to catch the video format, type in YouTube, the Captain Saver Bro Show. If you want to, work out to it, or, you don't have YouTube Premium, so you got to skip the ads and you got to close the app out, go check it out on Spotify, um, Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Podcasts. Type in Captain Saver Bro Show or King Dre, and I'll come right up. This show is also brought to you by SaverBroAcademy.com. All your course needs, your one-stop shop to get your game together. Go there, SaverBro.com, and take which course you want. Pick which course you want. Also, guys, join the Patreon, patreon.com/KingDreism. You get exclusive behind-the-scene videos, how-to videos, game breakdowns, and things like that. And then we have the $100 tier. You jump on that, you get 2 coaching calls per month. 2 coaching calls per month. And guys, be on the lookout. I'm getting ready to launch the Players Club. The Players Club will be launching probably in another week or two. And this is a private coaching mastermind group. So many benefits, from private live streams, private community, access to courses, what's the thing called? Private coaching group calls, where we doing twice a month. So if you're on the Patreon, it's the same thing. If you're on the Patreon, it'd be better to get off the Patreon and join the private group, because you get way more. You're gonna get way more benefits from joining the private group. And besides, Patreon take too much of my money. But with this coaching program, this coaching group, this private community that I'm launching, it'll be probably within a week or two. So just be on the lookout for that. You get a lot of value. You get discounts on one-on-one sessions with me, so upwards of 50%. I charge right now $500 per hour for a one-on-one consultation. Through the program, you'll get half off. And then the premium courses, like How to Make a Woman Fall in Love with You, Attraction 101, the Ultimate Ladies Man Dating Guide, the new course that's coming up, I can't say the name right now. These are premium courses, which they're a lot longer, a lot more in depth, a lot more, like the game is just that deep. These are what I call premium courses. These will be half off. So if you're in the coaching group, you get these courses for half off. All of the other programs, they free when you have access to the group. So, or when you purchase the coaching group, and it's a monthly fee. So you just have to pay monthly. But this is coming soon, within the next week or two, and it's called the Players Club. We're gonna start building our private community behind the scenes so we could chop up some real game. But also follow me on social media, King Dreism. I keep being about to say KingDreism.com. But follow me on all social media. That's IG, TikTok, and Twitter at KingDreism.com. KingDreism. Let's get into what y'all came to see. Let's get it. Fellas. I have a special guest, a guy who I consider one of the top tiers when it comes to this game. Top tier guy, elite level guy. My dude, Mr. Bad Boy himself. I got my man, Mr. Locario, in the building. How you doing today, brother?
What up? What up, man? I'm chilling, man. I'm glad to be here, man. I'm trying to be like you, bro. You got the.
I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to be like you.
What's going on with you, man?
I'm doing good, bro. What about you, man?
I'm good, man. Just a lot of work, man. Is grinding as usual. You know how that go.
Yeah,
you know
The good thing about it don't feel like work, bro. It don't feel like work.
Right, exactly. When you love to do it, is good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let the people know, right? For those that don't know you, let them know who is Mr. Locario. Like, who are you,
right,
and what do you contribute as far as this game and this space, and as far as men go, or females? 'Cause I know you work with females too. So who is Mr. Locario?
So basically, I'm a dating and life coach. You know what I'm saying? I coach men and women to find exactly what they want in their dating lives. You know what I'm saying? I really focus on realistic ways to make things happen. You know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
think a lot of times what happens when it comes to dating and relationships is people get jaded. They have sort of like a pessimistic outlook on it because of things that happened in their situations in their past. They're probably not having the relationships that they want. And I think a lot of it is due to people not really being real about themselves and about the situations that they're in. So that's basically the standpoint that I look at it as. I'm like, I teach from that standpoint of realistically, how do we get from point A to point B? You know what I'm saying? So, and I do that for men and for women, both.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
I just learned that today, actually. I just came
Yeah.
from my therapy session, right? And I was
Mhm.
talking about positive outlooks, right?
Right.
Like just before we turned this on, and he was not. It's not about being positive. It's about being rational and real. Because I'm like, I
Mhm.
need to be more positive. I need to think more positive and shit, and not,
Mhm.
you know. And he was like, nah, you just need to be more real and rational. And
Mhm.
it's weird that you just. It's good that you just said that. That
Mhm.
just clicked for me, and that was a confirmation because I was leaving like this nigga don't know what he talking about. Right?
But that's also why a lot of dudes, a lot of times people are negative because they're not realistic.
Right.
Because it's like you think positive, but then you're not realistic about what you're trying to do, what you're thinking about, and then things don't turn out how you expect it to be because you wasn't being realistic with it, and then you go back into the negativity. you
That's a
know what I'm saying?
confirmation.
So
That's a
that's
confirmation
usually
from
why.
the guys, from the
Yeah.
game guys. That's real. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That just nailed it for me. Right?
Mhm.
Now, you are probably only one. I think you're the hardest working man in this space. And you've been doing it for a long time.
Oh yeah, minute.
I remember hearing you on Tariq Nasheed's show 10, 12
Mhm.
years ago
Yeah.
advertising Bad Boy the Dating Game. Go Mr. Locario,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
then when I first got into this space, when you get into the space, you're trying to scope out who's who, the
Mhm.
competition and all of that. And I see this, I'm
Right.
like, this the guy that used to be on advertising on Tariq's show back
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
days. I said, let me check him out. I see him. Okay, I'm seeing him. I'm checking him out. I'm peeping the game. But what I saw
Mhm.
and what I noticed off the rip was the dedication to the game. As
Mhm.
far as like you've been doing this for how long, bro?
Yeah, man, since like what 2007, 2008. So it's
2000.
been like, a minute. Yeah. So it's been a while, you know what I mean? And the thing is, is one of the things where when I first started, it was a little different online, you know what I mean, especially
Yeah,
with YouTube and stuff like that. And I don't think there wasn't that many people doing it at that
yeah,
point. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I've been doing it for a minute. So I feel like the space on the internet as far as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those other things, those things brought a different it brought more access to the information and it brought a way where we can put ourselves out there even more, you know what I'm
right.
saying? But yeah, I've been doing it for a minute. So I've seen like how a lot of things change. Like even, you have things like people talk about like red pill stuff and MGTOWs and
Yeah,
all these other things that came way after.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Like none of that was there when I first started out here. So it's interesting seeing all that change. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's one thing to work, but it's the dedication. And I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking
Mhm.
about. Why I say Mr. Lucario is dedicated. Mr.
Mhm.
Lucario live streams probably twice a day.
Right.
You can pay me that it ain't enough more money, no money in the money world to give me the live stream twice a day. Uh, he's scoping out. I see you in the wings. I be seeing you in the wings. I be seeing you in the cut watching, scoping out, peeping out the
Mhm.
game. Uh,
Right.
I'm on Clubhouse. I don't know how we follow each other on Clubhouse.
Oh yeah,
I get the
Clubhouse is
notification, Mr.
ridiculous.
Lucario is in this room where they,
Mhm.
where the hoes is talking they shit and Mr.
Mhm.
Lucario in the cut. That's just the level of dedication to the game and
Right.
understanding, learning the game and, being able to teach the game. Where does that
Mhm.
come from? That passion for the game and
Mhm.
male and female dynamics. What do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think it comes from my personal journey with it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just personally, just being out there when I was younger. It's weird because you know how you hear the whole story of like, because I even asked you this when you was on my thing about like, hey, when you were younger, were you like the nerdy kid that
Yeah.
couldn't make it happen and you learn? So me, my issue was I didn't necessarily have an issue getting women
Mhm.
as far as like being able to go out with a girl and hook up with a girl here and there. My issue was I didn't know what I was doing, so therefore I wasted a lot of time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying, and energy and emotions and heartbreak and all that other stuff.
Right.
So my thing was, I have the passion for it because I don't want people to have to go through the nonsense as much as I did. Now I feel like you're gonna go through some stuff because no matter what, you got to go through it.
Right.
But I feel like if I can save you from having to make it as hard as it was, then hey, why not? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
because when I learned certain things, there's certain things that OGs taught me, and I was like, okay, cool. So now that I got this information, I can move a little bit differently, and then I can actually get more progress versus doing the same mistakes over and over again. So that's kind of like where the passion comes from is like really wanting others to be able to have the same success that I had, over time, but even getting to there quicker than I got there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I'm
Right.
like, why not? You know what I
That
mean?
passion, yeah, I'm the same way,
Mhm.
bro. I'm just like, it ain't really about me. It's to help other because I got the game already.
Right.
I can run
Exactly. Right.
through all these holes and break hearts and make your girl
Hmm.
cheat on you, but I just want like,
Hmm.
you know, I just don't want men to be taken advantage of, and I want, guys to experience the good that comes with having
Hmm.
good cooperative females on your team. So,
Exactly.
um, let's get
I
more
agree.
into the I want to get more into the content. I want to jump straight into the content. Nah, fuck that. No, no, no. Hold up. Before we go there, because I wanna go to early Mr. Locario first. I
Hmm.
wanna go to the
Right.
early Mr. Locario first. Um, now, as far as I know you mentioned you touched on, like, you got out there and you bumped your head
Mm-hmm.
and made mistakes, but did you
Mm-hmm.
have this coming of age, like, "Oh, um, I was this nerd first, or I was this corny dude, and then something happened, and I got gamed up, and now it's this, or has this kind of always been just like a journey, and you bump your head along the way, but you
Mm.
know, um,
Right.
what was it
I
like
think
for you as a kid coming up, as far as
right.
the game go?
I think for me it was probably a little bit of both because it was more so like when I would there'll be times where I'll be interacting with girls, certain girls I liked or whatever it was like that. And I still had that fear. I was scared to approach or talk to them. I was scared of rejection. I was doubting myself and all that other stuff. But I was never all the way on the other side of the spectrum where I wasn't getting no play. Like I was still getting some play, but it was like, you know, luck, what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
And so my thing is as I got older and stuff, and I started like, hanging around dudes who was really getting it. And then they started teaching me things. And then I started, taking what they taught and added it to my game. And I was like, okay, cool. These things are getting a little bit easier for me. Things are benefiting me more. Now I'm seeing the mistakes I made, and now I can move forward without making those mistakes. So it's kind of like that gradual thing of kind of like making things happen, but not really knowing what I'm doing to knowing what I'm doing and then really making it happen how I want it to happen.
Got
And then so that's when I realized that like game is real. Like I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is like some real shit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, this is something that can be taught. This is something that people could learn because I learned that myself. There's certain things that I learned that basically stepped up my game and got me to the point where I am now. You know what I'm saying? To from before, because before it was like was is one of when they say a broke clock is twice a broke clock is right twice a
twice a
day or
day,
something.
yeah,
It was like
yeah,
that type of thing. So like I would get it, twice a day, but that was just because you feel me. But now, once I learned certain things and once I put myself out there and when I was doing certain things, it got to the point where it's like, okay, now I know what I'm doing and now I know why these things happen. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
right, right.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned game. It's something that we,
Mm-hmm.
especially me and you, we talk a lot about
Mm-hmm.
game. And a lot of people today it's become this ambiguous thing that can mean a million different things, especially
Mm-hmm.
to um, squares. I don't want to say squares, but like guys that's not in the know. So like
Mm-hmm.
green guys who are green and maybe just
Mm-hmm.
start picking this stuff up on the internet. So
Right.
define in your terms, define
Mm-hmm.
game
Right.
for the people.
So basically, yeah. So basically, I like we talk about the word game. I usually say that like just saying game is synonymous with life and everything that falls under existence in life and what we do, right?
Right.
But then I say having game really when we talk about oh you got game, you ain't got game, it's more so a strategy. Like that's just the simplest way I put it. It's like having game is having a strategy to get from here to there, having a strategy to get the goal accomplished, having a strategy to get what you want. And so I always say that, if your game is tight, then that means your strategy works for you getting that thing. If your game is weak, your strategy is not tight and you're really having a hard time getting what you want. Because I say everybody has a game or is playing the game whether they want to or not. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Meaning that you're doing some sort of strategy to get to this outcome or to this place, right?
Right.
Now, whether or not your strategy is working or not is dependent upon you and dependent upon you being aware of what you're doing or not. So I always say to a lot of guys, especially, like, for example, you might have a guy whose strategy is to like buy a woman flowers and wine and dine her and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
And he might just want sex. And then he realizes that he's not getting the sex or as much sex as he wants, versus another guy who just has a good mouthpiece and he wants sex and he's getting more sex. So that guy with the mouthpiece, his strategy is working better than the guy whining and dining and buying her flowers. So they both have a strategy. They're both using their game, but one is, yielding better results than the other. So that's really all it is.
For sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Now, one of the things that I like about you, one of the things that I like about you and your content, right? And despite because I always say if you play the game, you get burned. These guys think we never went
Mhm.
through nothing. We never got cheated on. We
Mhm.
never had
Right.
heartbreaks. We never taken
Mhm.
rejection and shit. They think we just as super players. It's just these fucking mythical creatures, and it's not like that,
Right.
right? Um,
Mhm.
but they think that I believe that they think that because of the optimism, despite the
Mm.
hardship, right? And one of the things
Right.
that I like about your content, specifically, is I know I know good enough to know that if you've played this long, you've been burned. But despite
Mhm.
being burned, you still have an optimistic view on the game. You have an optimistic
Mhm.
view on women. It's not, oh, women the boogeyman and fucking
Right.
hyperbole and all this old bullshit, right? Um, so what do you think that is,
Mm.
you know, to where you don't let the negatives hinder your outlook on life? You're able to maintain this optimistic and not even an optimistic, a realistic
Mm.
point of view and not jaded. Like your content is not jaded despite playing
Right.
the game.
Right. Well, I think what happens is that um there's a difference between men who get it, women attracted to them based off of who they are versus guys who get women attracted to them based off of what they have. And so I think what happened is that I was always the type of dude who was able to get women based off of who I was.
Right.
So now what happens is that if I get played or if I get burned or whatever, it's like, all right, cool. It is what it is, because I also know on the flip side, there were women who were into me because of who I was. You understand who I am, right? Versus you have guys out there who they'll have a negative outlook because what happens is they're using, let's say, their money or their status or whatever it is to try to attract the woman. They get these women and they still get played. So now they feel like they already felt like they couldn't get a woman based off of who they are. So now they use the things to get the women. And then when the things don't work or the things cause a situation where they're getting played, they really feel upset because they thought having the thing was going to be like the cheat code. Like, well, I can just get this and I don't have to worry about her rejecting me. Because she's only with me because I have these things, or these things are the thing that makes me cool.
Right.
So now when they get played, they're like, oh, these girls are gold diggers and they messed up. And it's funny because a lot of dudes, they'll try to use their resources, money, jewelry, or whatever to get the girl, but then complain about a girl being a gold digger. You know what I'm saying? Or a girl being this way or that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where all the negativity come from. So I think what happens is that the positive outlook, or I would say, like, just being realistic about it, I understood that there's going to be girls who are into me and girls who aren't going to be into me. But
Right.
it still stems from me being me. So when I was dealing with women who were into me because of me, I realize I can find another girl who's into me because of me,
Right.
versus the guys who they don't think women are into them at all. And
Right.
then so when they use this material stuff to get women, they're already upset at women because they think deep down women generally don't want them, period. So it's like they already have a negative outlook on women from the jump, using material stuff to get them. You feel what I'm saying? So they're like, oh, these chicks only want this and that and they only want money. So when these guys start catching feelings, they feel some type of way when another guy who has more money than them, the woman jumps from him to him, and that's why they be screaming all this hypergamy and women. You know that's
Yeah.
where that comes from, and that's where all the negativity I think happens in most of these cases. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent breakdown. Excellent perspective. That's real shit. Hey, moving right along. It's you mentioned how guys leave with their wallet, and how guys leave with external things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's this ongoing debate in the last few years in these YouTube streets,
Mm-hmm.
about looks, money, status, game,
Right,
and what is more important, right?
right,
I know you laugh, but we gotta teach the people, right? Me and you
Mhm.
laughing at it, but what is more important? Looks, money,
Right.
status, or game?
Right. Well, the thing is, I always say all of it falls under game anyway. So like if you're using your looks, you understand what I'm saying, to get a girl, and let's say that's, because you can do that. If a woman thinks you're good looking, you can tell she's sort of giving you attention because she thinks you're good looking. Use that. You
Right.
understand? Use that to your advantage to attract her and do what you got to do. You know, I would say, like, dudes will try to use their money to get girls. I don't really think that's the best way to do it, but if that's the way you want to play it, then you could do that. Same thing with status. If you want to do that, you can play that. But either way, all of it falls under game. So it's like I always tell people, you can't separate, looks, money, and status or game, because everything is still under the game. So the game is going to win anyway because it's all under it. Now the problem is that when guys use things like looks, their money, or status as their main type of game, what happens is that they usually lose automatically because that doesn't bring out anything that's unique about them. So if you're dealing with a woman and there's nothing unique about you, then that means that you're basically a cookie cutter, which means you're easily replaced. You see what I'm
Gotcha.
saying?
Right.
The thing that makes a woman want to continue to deal with you and gravitate towards you is because you aren't easily replaced. So now, if you're dealing with just your looks, you say, okay, I'm going to use my looks to just get girls. Okay, that's going to be cool. But what happens when you approach a girl or interact with a girl who she may not think you're unattractive physically, but you might not be her type
Right.
physically, right? Or let's say you hitting up a girl on Tinder and you're going to use your looks, but there's 10, 15 other guys in her DM who look just as good or better than you,
Right.
right? Or you go to a party or an event, you go into the spot, there's 10, 15 other good looking guys there,
Right.
tolerant at these women. So your looks will cancel out if that's what you're just using. Same thing with money. You like, oh, I got this money, but so do these 20, 50, 100 other guys have money. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
You talking about your status. These other guys might have status. But what is it about you that you have that nobody else has? You see what I'm saying? And that's where it comes in the game, where it's like, that's what makes a woman be like, okay, this is the dude, because I can't find him nowhere else. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's how I look at it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's why I fuck with you, bro. Spitting that real shit. That's why I fuck with your shit. Spitting that real shit.
Yeah.
I hope y'all paying attention and taking notes. You know, it's not too many guys in this space who I can say is on some real deal elite level shit. Uh, you know, I'm
That's
one
what's
of
up.
them. Shout out to my dude Afi. Shout out to
Avi,
Locario.
that's what's up.
Yeah,
Avi's
shout
on point.
out my dude Afi, and my man Mr. Locario is definitely up there with the best.
I
It's a
appreciate
couple others. I give them a bone when it's time to, but yeah, let's go more into the content, right?
it. Mhm.
You have this thing, right? And it's not just you. I've the same way, right? But
Mhm.
you a lot more vocal about it.
Right.
What is it with guys and their obsession with body counts, and what's your stand on the whole body
Oh
count shit?
man,
I knew it
that's
was
like one of my like my favorite subjects, body count and the looks and all. But the body count shit is so hilarious because I always say that this is why I look at it, is the whole body count argument. And for those who don't know, that's, people say, like, if a woman has a high body count, she's been dealing with a bunch of dudes that she can't bond to you in a relationship, and she's mentally messed up in the head and all that other stuff, right? Now, first of all, I always say, what is too much? Because that's subjective. What
right.
is it, 5? Is it 10? Is it 100? Is it 3? Is it 1? Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of guys, they have this mythical number in their head of, oh well, she had this much sex, then she's not going to be good wifey material and all the other stuff,
Right.
right? But I always say that whole argument is a beta male argument. And the reason why it's a beta male argument is because only a beta male cares about the body count, because a beta male is usually living a lifestyle or a life where he's not the recipient of
Of the
sex
sex,
a lot. You
right?
understand what I'm saying? So a guy who's, and you could say, like I can say alpha, but you could use alpha, beta, Mac loser
Player sucker.
or player lane,
Yeah,
whatever. It's all the same thing, right?
right.
So a guy who's like the player, the guy who's the alpha, the guy who's more dominant, he's the recipient of the sex. He's having sex with all these women. So he understands that women love sex. He
Yeah,
understands that women want to have it.
right.
And so his reality is women like to have sex all the time. So if his reality is women like to have sex all the time, he's not gonna think that a woman who's 28 years old has only a body count of two. You know what I'm saying? Because his reality says that doesn't make any sense because women are out here doing it.
Right.
But to a beta male, it's going to make sense for him to say a woman has a body count of two. Why? Because most women are telling him, "Hey, I got to get to know you. I'm not the type of girl. Let's take this slow." That's his reality. So in his reality, the the low body count of a woman makes sense because he thinks women are like that. Whereas they're like that to him, but to the other guy, they're having sex.
Right.
So a lot of these dudes don't realize that there is actually no correlation between a woman's body count and her ability to bond with a guy. They have all these pseudoscience and studies that say that, oh, well, if a woman had sex with this amount of guys, her happiness in a relationship, or she's not going to be able to have a marriage. That's all nonsense because there's actually never been any specific scientific studies that actually show this. This is all stuff that, they've made up in little charts and graphs on random websites that don't even pertain to anything. There's actually
Right.
no scientific studies. Like, for example, if there was to actually be a study about it, they would have to literally have a large group of women follow these women since birth
Mhm.
and follow them 24 hours a day to accurately get the body count, because you would need to monitor a woman 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years to see how much guys she's actually had sex with.
Right.
And because you can't do that, what you would only have is women saying it on their own through their own, mouth, which even with anonymous surveys, people still lie on anonymous surveys because they want to lie to themselves.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you're never going to find out. So I tell guys, listen, instead of worrying about that, all you need to think about is this woman I'm dealing with following my lead and being cooperative towards me and actually showing me respect? That's it. And
Right.
the bonding aspect in a relationship only works if you and that woman are compatible and y'all actually have that chemistry between y'all two.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference who she had in the past or all that other stuff. The only thing that will happen is that if that woman that would make it hard for her to bond is if she's experienced a lot of trauma
Right.
in her life. So
Right.
that trauma could be the thing that makes her not bond, but it's not
It's not
specifically the
sex.
sex. So she could have
Yeah, I
sex
feel the same
with
way.
a bunch of dudes, and it would have been good, and she could have had a great life, and there won't be any of that trauma with the situation. So
Right.
I could go all day on that shit. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Guys, she can't pair bond, and that's like that's the dumbest shit. So she loses her ability to pair bond, right? Okay, so pair
Right,
bond with who? Right? Pair bond with
right,
who? So if
exactly,
she have a kid, she just don't have the ability to bond no more. Like she can't have friends
right,
that she bonds with and shit, right? Scientifically, the we have hormones, right? And oxytocin. I
right,
don't know if it's called a hormone
mm,
or whatever. Supposedly,
right,
it's responsible for bonding, right? Uh,
mm,
well, sex isn't the only way to
mm,
stimulate oxytocin producing in a woman. Trust,
right,
physical
mm,
touch,
mm,
sharing a meal, like, laughing
mm,
together. So you mean to tell me that if she have sex with, like you say, what's the fucking number? She just
right,
loses, her body shuts down and stops producing this hormone.
right,
It makes
exactly.
it makes absolutely no fucking sense. It's like you
It's
said, it's the
crazy.
beta male. It's a thing to it's a social construct to control women, and
Right.
control their purity because we can't do it physically. If
Mm,
these niggas could like put guns to these hoes head and say, "Bitch, if you fuck, you gonna die," they'll do it.
mhm.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Exactly,
Bitch, if you get more
exactly.
than 2 bodies, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna stone you to death. If they had the option to do that, they will do it, but
Mhm.
they can't, so you have to
Yeah.
come up with ways to
Mhm.
shame women
Yeah, it's
into
a shame.
period.
It's a shaming tactic
Yeah,
because what it is basically what they'll say is, well, if you had sex with all these guys, I'm not going to marry you. So what they do is they dangle the idea of long term relationship over the woman's head to say, well, if you do all this, I'm not going to wife you up. And usually those are the guys who are trying to wife up women and want to be the husband. So
right.
they're well, this is my power, so I'm gonna make sure you're not a wife if you're doing all these guys before me because they don't like the fact that there's guys out there getting sex and they're not. That's all it really boils down to. It's like I want to shame you and make sure you're not having sex because I don't like the fact you're having sex with all these other guys and I gotta wait until you get older and want to settle down to be with me. That's all it is.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that shit is crazy. And I believe the marriage rate is so high because dudes are weak and they don't know how to keep a bitch in
Mhm.
line. And so the bitch leave. Like
Exactly.
it ain't got nothing to do with sex. Now, I will say this, the more experience a person has, the more you have
Mhm.
to be on your game, so to speak. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
so if I was, it's just the same way on the other foot. If I was a virgin, a bitch would more than likely run all over me, right? Versus
Hmm.
where I'm at now, my tolerance is, I built up a tolerance for the game. I have
Hmm.
boundaries now and shit like that. So women who have more partners tend to be, I don't want to say problematic in some instances. Like you say, if there's trauma associated,
Hmm.
then yes.
Right.
But you ain't gonna be able to, like, it's not as easy that, like, if let's say if she done fucked 10 rich niggas before and they fucked her on boats
Hmm.
and shit,
Right.
it's not gonna be, I mean, you can stand out, which is why, your game should be to you be unique and be yourself, right?
Mhm.
Because,
Right.
but guys get intimidated by that and say, well, if she
Mm.
fucked on an airplane and shit before, it's over for me. There's nothing else I can
Right,
do. And that's not,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? And that's not necessarily true. So yeah,
Right.
I just believe that the marriage rates are so high is because men are so weak, period. Like this is
Mhm.
it just is what it is. So now another thing to tie to this body count, I know you're gonna laugh when I say this. This fucking soul tie shit, right? The guys
Oh my god.
guys and you know what's starting to make me mad because I'm starting to hear women say this shit now because some dudes,
Mhm.
they dudes is telling them, oh, you fuck dudes, you get the DNA and your
Mhm.
soul is transferring energy. No, motherfucker,
Oh
when you
my
spend
god.
time with somebody, you build an attachment with him. That is not a fucking soul
You know
tie.
what's funny? You know what's funny about that? Where dudes be like, I heard this thing where the dudes would say, "Oh, like they had this thing where the sperm. They say the sperm's gonna live in the woman for the rest of their life." And I'm like, sperm dies, right? Like that's it's like little stuff like that. And so yeah, and they talk about the soul ties and the twin flames and all that other stuff. And listen, it's like, see, you know what it is? A lot of people want to believe those things because again, like people, the problem is in that society, people put sex on a pedestal. Right now, the actual just function of sex is we have sex, we procreate. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right,
And then we also have the pleasure of sex to motivate us to have sex to procreate.
right.
But
To
all of
sustain
this
life.
other stuff about right, all this other stuff about like, oh, this is my soulmate and soul ties and all that other stuff. That's because a person believes what they believe and they put that on what they believe. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
Anything you believe or anything that you sort of like, take into account, you're going to add that belief to any situation that you have.
right.
It's just like, for example, like like a lot of guys talk about like choosing signals and stuff like that. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm just going to wait for choosing signals." So now what happens is because it's on your mind, you're going to associate any action or multiple types of actions as choosing signals. Like you'll be in a store and a chick will cough behind you and you think, "Oh, she was sending me a choosing signal because she was coughing." You understand? Like you're going to try to associate that with that.
Right.
So it's the same thing with soul ties. It's like, "Oh man, I met this girl and bro, she's not like the other one. She's different. Like she doesn't go out there and sleep around and we have this connection and it's just this deep emotional thing." But what he doesn't know is that girl is out there hooking up with this guy and that guy, on the weekend. But to him, she's like, acting like this super church girl or whatever.
Right.
So in his perception, this is like the one. She's an angel. She's different. God sent her to me. Like she's not like the rest of them. And that's because his belief has to sort of be validated. So he has to put that situation in a way where he feels this is what it is. But in reality, when you take a step back, it just is two people getting together. You understand?
Right.
It's like that joke they have where they say, "What's the definition of making love?" That's what the woman's doing while the guy's fucking her. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So it's like the action is the same, but two people could look at it different ways.
Wait.
So
Right.
that's all it is. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's crazy.
I heard you say on a live stream one day, you was like, because you was having this conversation with the audience,
Mhm.
with your audience, and you was like, so with this whole energy exchange shit, like, okay, so what if with that logic, I should just go, if I'm exchanging energy and negative energies when you have sex, I should just go fuck positive women. I cracked up.
Right, exactly, right.
I was like, that's some
Exactly,
real
right.
shit. So if I
No,
go
that's
fuck
because
only,
they
so
always equate that. They be like, "Oh, you're going to transfer all these demons," and I'm like, "Well, if that's the case, why don't we just like, if I'm positive, also, why don't I just have sex and transfer my positive energy to this woman, or vice versa? If I'm depressed and this girl's happy, I might as well fuck her and get some of that happy energy, right?
and
You know,
fuck as many of them as you can. You spread
right,
positivity, you get positivity, and everybody can just fuck and be happy, right?
exactly.
It's
I'm like, come
crazy.
on, man.
When you said that, I fucking cracked up. I was like, that's true, real shit though.
Yeah,
Real
it's
shit.
crazy, man.
Let's get
People,
into another
yeah.
one. Get into another one too. I'm with you here too. Going through phones.
Oh
And
man,
that's a hot topic lately. Going through phones.
yeah.
What's your take on
Mhm.
going through phones?
Man, I tell I already know women are going to try to do, it, but for the men, don't I tell you guys don't do that shit, man. And this is the reason why. This is the reason why I say this because um one you don't want to go through the phone because one that already is putting too much energy uh into the woman, you're making it too much about her. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that
Mm.
when you're dealing with a woman, what you need to focus on is she doing things for you, and is she doing what she has to do in a relationship, right? Now, if she's doing that, then you're good. Now, let's say a person might say, but what if she's cheating? What if she's with another dude behind my back and all that other stuff, right? The thing you got to understand about that is, yeah, if you find out, definitely you got to get rid of her. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to step outside your character to try to look in her phone to find out if somebody's cheating, because what you're doing now at that point is it's your insecurities is causing you to take that action, right? So now you're an insecure man doing
Right.
that. You understand? When you're a guy who's confident, you're not worried about none of that because you're confident in yourself no matter what's happening. Now, if you say, if I happen to find out, by running into her with another dude, or somebody tells me like, yo, I saw your girl with this other dude or whatever, then cool, then we gonna handle that. But me jumping out of my character to look into your phone, that's me right there disrespecting myself and doing something out of character because I'm insecure about the situation.
Right.
Right. So it's one of these things where, you know, if I find out, then it's a wrap. But I'm not going to overstep and do it myself to try to find out. You see what I'm saying? Because as soon as I do that, I basically lost who I am and disrespected myself. Another thing, too, you have to understand is this. I always tell guys, women love attention. They love it. 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 I don't care if you have a girlfriend, wife, soulmate, whatever the hell you want. Women love attention. So what happens is that women will sometimes engage in attention from other men, but not necessarily do anything. And so what happens is that if you go through her phone and you see her engaging in attention from another dude, you're going to think she's trying to get at the other dude, whereas she could just be using that guy for attention. Meaning, like, there's guys that might hit your girl DM. There might be guys that used to deal with your girl before you got there, and they're texting her talking about, hey stranger, what's up, how you been, or whatever. And it's a dude she used to mess with 3 years ago, and she just said, oh, what's up, and just was like saying hi to him. But when you go into the phone, you're gonna be looking at that, and then your mind is gonna take that out of context, and then you're going to try to attack that situation that's out of context.
Right.
So what I tell guys is this: is that what you want to pay attention to is she doing the things that she needs to do in the relationship? And then you have to make sure that you're focused on you and also the relationship with the woman. Whatever she's doing outside of that, guess what? She's going to do that regardless, and you can't control it. That's the part that dudes don't understand.
Yeah.
You going in her phone is not.
Not gonna
I'll
stop.
say this. I would say this, right? I'll be bold enough to say this. If every man under the sound of my voice, who's watching this, went into their girl's phone, all of y'all would want to probably dump your girl right now. Like all of y'all. There's
Nigga
not
wouldn't
one guy
either.
that would go on his girl
Nigga
phone
wouldn't.
and be
Yeah.
like, oh, this is right. They'd be like, oh, this is cool. This is nothing. You would all dump your girls right now because there's something in her phone, either that's out of context or in context, that you're gonna find that you're not gonna like.
And you know
Because
what?
your idea of right, you're
You know
good.
what? You know what? What I always tell them, if you have the urge or the feeling or the insecurity to go through the phone and you
Mhm,
don't find anything, your insecurity is
mhm.
gonna tell you she deleted it. So
Right,
then you back
exactly,
to square
right.
one. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
No,
That's
that's facts. You're gonna find some way. You might see a text from some dude, and you don't even know that's like her second cousin from her father's side of the family that you just never met. And you're like, who the fuck? Who's David? Blah 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 blah. And then you're gonna go crazy. And then what's gonna happen is that if you confront her about that, and she's like, yo, but that's my cousin. Like, what's going on? Now your position as the strong, dominant, confident leader in her life is ruined.
right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's done. You're finished.
Right.
So now you basically messed up your situation by being insecure, trying to figure out something that had nothing to do with nothing. You see what I'm saying? And so what I tell guys is, again, if your girl, for example, when I say she's doing what she do, let's say your girl cooks you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, folds your clothes, goes shopping, buys you groceries. She does she does all these things. If she's doing all of that stuff, how she's supposed to do it, when she's supposed to do it, consistently, not complaining, cooperative, then we're good. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if she's talking to or like trying to get attention from some other guy, behind your back, then that's what she's doing. But as long as, again, as long as you don't happen to find out in the situation, then she's continuing to do what she want to do. I mean, she's continuing to do what she needs to do for you, then it's all good. Because trust and believe. Who was the other guy? What's the guy? Aisha Curry's husband.
Yeah, yeah. Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, right? Remember what happened with Steph Curry and Aisha Curry? Aisha Curry was like, "I want attention,"
Yeah.
and everyone. And look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry got the looks, money, status,
Yeah.
famous basketball player, all of that, and his wife is like, "I still want attention." So if you think a
Not
woman
even
in
just
that
regular
position,
attention, right? Because she get
exactly,
plenty attention. She want attention
exactly,
from other dudes. This bitch got 5 million
exactly.
followers. You see what I'm
Right, exactly. So if Aisha Curry wanted attention from other dudes, what do you think your girl ain't gonna come on, guys, stop it.
Yeah.
That's why I said y'all gotta focus on what's important. And what's important is she doing what she needs to do for you?
Right.
And again, like I said, if you stumble upon it, like let's say you was just chilling, on the couch, y'all watching Netflix, and her phone is dinging, and you look down and you see some dude's name, then you can be like, yo, what's that? What the fuck is that? You understand?
Right.
Then you can address it. But you don't want to actively, while she's in the shower, trying to go through her code and look through all. That's goofy. That's kind of goofy.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. Now, what I always tell these dudes, right? And like how you brought about like the insecurity, and when you show that
Mhm.
insecurity, she loses her confident rock, right?
Right.
Since dudes always talk this oxytocin shit, right? Let's get into
Mhm.
oxytocin and bonding, right?
Right.
One of the most powerful ways to stimulate oxytocin to bond with somebody is to show them you trust them, even if you don't. I have a
Mhm.
little trick that
Right.
I always do. Like when I like a chick and we gonna make I think about take it there, I leave her at my crib, be like, I'm gonna go and I go somewhere for like an hour and just leave her in my crib. So
Mhm.
she in her mind, this nigga trusts me, right? When she
Exactly.
gets this feeling, her body produces certain hormones, right? So
Mhm.
if trust is the most one of I'm not gonna say the most powerful, but if trust, the feeling of trust is one of the most powerful stimulants of this chemical, this pair bonding
Mhm.
chemical, then what the fuck do you think mistrust does?
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
the fastest way to kill a bond with somebody is to
Mm.
establish mistrust, or to
Mhm.
but they don't trust you, or you to show them that you don't trust them. If you want
Mhm.
your girl to close off and break a bond, that's the fastest way to do it. So if you gonna
Exactly.
go through the phone, be ready to dump her. Because
Right.
once you start doing shit like that, you'll never get that level of submission ever. It's over.
Mhm.
And I try to tell
Right.
guys that you have to sacrifice as a man for what you want, right? So since y'all
Mm.
talking about the oxytocin and pair bond and shit, the fact it ain't the body count. Show your
Mhm.
bitch you don't trust her and watch how she feel. She can't be
Right.
open with you. She can't be free with you because you don't trust her. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And if you gotta do stuff like that, if your girl is doing things to where she's
Mhm.
making you feel like that, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Find a
Exactly.
new bitch
Exactly.
or go get therapy if you just feel like that, right? Um,
Exactly.
and then another thing, they go through the phone, they find the shit, and I'm pretty sure you know you get the emails, they find the shit, and they ain't gonna do nothing anyway. They gon'
Mhm.
they gonna stay with her anyway.
Exactly
And
right.
just
I
and
was
just and
talking about
just
that
suffer
on
every night.
Instagram.
They just suffering every night laying next to the bitch, ain't left her or nothing. So it's like pointless, bro.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. That shit
Exactly, because if
crazy.
you're that type of guy, you probably the type of guy that don't really have any options out here anyway. So
Right,
that's why you so scared, worried about her leaving and shit. Because this is the thing too. And the last thing I say about that is this: is that listen, you don't really see if you was really an on point dude, right? What happens is that if your girl was like kind of thinking about messing around or whatever, and she was like doing some things behind your back, and there was some evidence in the phone. Usually, what'll happen is this: is that usually at some point she will probably correct herself if she actually has respect for you and knows that you're that type, you're that dude.
right,
Because what happens is she says, okay, if this guy finds out, I'm gone because I know he's the type of dude that's going to get rid of me, and I don't want to have to get rid of I don't want to have to lose this guy over some nonsense.
right,
And that's the thing that causes a woman to second guess even cheating on you a lot of times. She has to weigh out the best option. So she
right,
says to herself, man, I could cheat on my man, but if he finds out, I'm gonna lose my man and end up with this goofy dude or end up with nobody. So let
right,
me not cheat on him and keep the man I have. So you gotta, but the only way she's gonna feel that way is if you're the type of guy who's not insecure and gonna go through her phone. You see what
right,
I'm saying? So that's how that works.
right,
It is
right.
crazy.
If you think your girl, you're a goddamn fool if you think your girl ain't thought about that at least once a month. Cause it's
Mm-hmm.
she getting hit on. And you know it's crazy.
Exactly.
Fat girls too. If you got a fat girl, it's people in
Mm-hmm.
her inbox telling her they'll lick her whole asshole. Fat girls
Right.
and all. So it's like
Exactly.
she getting hit on and she thinks about it. Now, what you want,
Mm-hmm.
I always say what you want to when she have to make this decision, you want it to be in your best favor. Your best
Right.
favor. So provide that much value and behave that way. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because the temptation comes. There's nothing you can do to hide it. These guys think
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna go overseas or they're gonna fucking find take their girl's Instagram and lock them down. Okay, so now what?
Mm-hmm.
What about when she go to the gym? Because you wanted to stay healthy, right? What about when she go
Right.
to the gym? Right? What
Mm-hmm.
about when she need to go to the grocery store to cook you some food when you give her the credit card?
Mm-hmm.
Like you think
Right.
dudes ain't hitting on her then? What about when she go stop at the gas station or when she go pick
Exactly.
the kids up from school? Or you see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You gonna lock the bitch in a dungeon, bro? Like you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
yeah,
It's gonna happen.
she gonna make that the temptation is gonna come. It's up to you,
Mhm.
to make sure that she's making the right decisions. But
That's
let's
facts.
move along, right? You have
Mhm.
one of the things about your style as far as the dating game go.
Mhm.
And I think this is where me and you we don't not that we don't see eye to eye because more
Mhm.
it's always more than one way to skin a cat, right? But your
Right.
philosophy is get straight to the point. Like you believe in it. Stop
Mhm.
getting you don't need to
Right. Yeah,
you
I'm
take
like,
it.
fuck all
My
that.
style is a little different, right? And it's not
Yeah.
it's not out of fear or
Mhm.
you know, but I
Mhm.
like the process. Like I enjoy the process. I enjoy
Right.
watching a woman's melt before my eyes. I enjoy
Right.
dates and me seducing. I enjoy this process. And I
Mhm.
believe the majority of women find this enjoyable too. And for me,
Mhm.
it makes for a better situation or encounter or an experience, right? But you like, fuck
Right.
all that bullshit, bitch.
Right.
Fuck
Right.
you not.
You know what?
First,
You know what it is too? Yeah, I think it's because also I always say this is that people got to understand that like you know different styles of game always going to happen based off of a person's personality too,
right,
because you have to take that into account with how you move, because what happens is that there's sometimes even where like I mostly am direct with women,
right,
but there are times where I sort of am indirect when I'm talking just to feel her out. You understand what
right,
I'm saying? So like there's times where like I'm at a bar, meet a girl, and I just might shoot the shit just on some regular stuff, just like for
right,
just for like a few minutes, whatever, just to like feel her out and feel her vibe. You know what I'm saying?
right,
But generally what I do is that I'm just direct because I like to with me. This is what I tell guys. There's you have attraction and then you have seduction, right?
Right.
So with attraction is really about, okay, is this girl that I'm talking to down now? Is she really feeling me? Is she about it right now? What's going to happen with that is that when it comes to attraction, that's going to be a smaller percentage of women.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Meaning that you're going to have to play the numbers games. Let's say you have 100 women, right? Out of those 100, you might get maybe, let's say, 10 to 15 who are really down right now. You understand? And 20 if you're just really on point, right? So let's say 15 to 20%, right? So what happens is that with those women who are attracted to you, all you have to do is not do anything ridiculous to make them less attracted to you. You see
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? So like a lot of guys, they'll talk themselves out of pussy because they don't know what the hell they're doing,
Right.
right? Then you have, let's say out of those 100 women, you have 50 of those women, let's say, who were like, they're they have interest in you, but they're not all the way bought in yet. So it's kind of like they're in the middle. So with those women, you have to seduce. You see what I'm saying? So with me, a lot of times, what I do is I first look for the women who are attracted,
Right.
right? And then after that, if anything, I'll deal with the girls who I got to seduce. So that's kind of like how I do it. So I go more direct because I want to see who's really attracted to me from the jump first. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll deal with the other ones later if I feel like I want to deal with them. But that also goes with I always say like a personality type
Right.
who a person who doesn't have that much patience. Like I have,
Yeah.
like my patience level is terrible, and especially as I gotten older and as I dealt with more women, it's just gotten way, way, way less patient dealing with chicks. So that's kind of
You
like
know
the
what I
route I
think
go at.
that case is for
You know
you?
what
And just be being observant.
I'm saying?
I think your situation too makes you just like,
Mm.
because you got the wife and you got the girlfriend, but we're gonna talk about that
Oh yeah, of
right now.
course, yeah,
Right.
exactly, right.
Whereas most guys haven't reached that
Mm,
level yet. And so, you know
mm,
what I'm saying? They don't your patience is like, bitches, you fucking or not? Because I gotta go, I got
right,
a girl over here, I got my wife over here. You see what I'm saying? But
right,
it's that's just was my
mm, right,
my observation of the situation, right? It's
mm,
based on like your style of game, which works. And
mm,
you said something, and this is how I know, you know,
mm,
that you know your shit and your game is top tier because you understand. It's not like you saying, "Oh, well, this just works and this is better to do it right like this way." You
right,
understand the seduction game versus the attraction game, and you understand that
right,
the attraction game is more of a numbers thing, like the smaller
right,
percentage. If you plan
mhm,
just based on attraction, you may not
mhm,
get as many as if
right,
you put the time in to seduce.
mhm,
The fact that
right,
you are able to separate that and understand that lets me know your shit is
mm,
top level. That's why I fuck with
right.
you.
And also too, it's like, because what happens is that when you kind of get it's like, the worst thing for I think for a woman sometimes too, and even for some dudes, is that when you can get it a certain way,
Yeah,
you can become spoiled. So like now that I'm like when I'm in situations where I can just get it like that, like
yeah.
let's say like the last 3 or 4 women I talked to, they was just down. It's hard for me to talk to another woman and she's like, well, try harder. I'm like, why? I could just go and get another
Right,
girl who's
right,
gonna be
right,
doing it.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But now it doesn't mean that I won't try to seduce a certain woman, because sometimes, just depending on my mood or the vibe of the situation,
Right.
I might say, okay, well, this chick, she seems coachable, and she seems like the type of woman that I would want to deal with. So I might,
Put the tools in.
seduce this
Yeah,
woman. But also, I always tell guys this with seduction is that you still got to know the difference between a woman who has interest and a woman who has no interest. So a lot
right.
of guys be trying to seduce women
That
who ain't got no interest in them, and I'll be like, bro, this girl don't like you, right? She's just like
right,
playing
right,
games with you, bro. Like
right.
stop it. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys get confused and they think, oh well, if you have the best game ever, you can just get any woman. And I'm like, that's not how it goes, bro. You feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There's gonna be women who just have no interest in you, and that's just what it is. You know what
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I think a lot of these cats, they want to do this different ideologies of uh well, he's over here and you think this way, so
Mhm.
uh y'all are enemies. It's like, no, it's just more than one way to
Right.
skin a cat based on,
Exactly. It's like it's
where a person may be. My personality is more exploring and fucking,
mhm.
exploring, and I like the feeling of, again, I like
Mhm.
sitting talking and seeing a woman melt when I'm talking and taking her through the little
Right.
phase, and I know she's enjoying me dance her into
Mhm.
fucking because I'm probably gonna, I don't want to say break her heart, but I'm just whisking her away into the darkness and shit. They enjoy it. And it's just, for
Right.
me, I get more satisfaction out of it. So that's my style.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
teach based on that. Other guys
Right.
may just be like, bitch, is you fucking or not? Like, you
Right.
know,
And
I
that's
kn-
the thing too. It's like you said, and you said something very important. You said that's my style. That's how
right,
I liked it. Because I always tell guys the game is about them. You got to do things the way that you like to do it,
right,
and then have women follow your way. That's what
right.
I always try to get guys to understand. And also, there's different styles. Just like example with martial arts. You got karate, you got ninjutsu, you got freaking taekwondo, and you got kung
Kung
fu. You
fu,
got
yeah.
all of these different, you know what I'm saying, styles, but it's still styles of fighting, and you can win with any of those styles. So this
Right.
is why I be telling guys, like, there's no one way to do it. Like, well, this is the only way, and if you're not doing it this way, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, a
Because
lot of
if
these
you
cats think
think
like that.
that, right, and that's how they think. They're like, could you tell me the one way, the formula? And I'm like, bruh, like, there's no there's no
Yeah.
formula to this shit, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's so many ways. Like I say, it's way more than one way to skin a cat.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, other than that, I think that's where, as far as like our styles differ. And it's not like I
Mhm.
don't, like I just like, oh, that shit is garbage, or
Mhm.
but we differ in that lane, so to speak. And I think it's,
Mhm.
again, based on personality and situational environments. Because if I was
Right.
married, I
Exactly.
wouldn't be fucking, like, I'm not trying to seduce no bitch, and I got a girlfriend, and I don't want no
Right.
more
Exactly.
emotions to manage and shit like that, right?
Right.
But now I want to lead into now let me ask you a question before I get into that. For
Mhm.
me, when I seduce, when I get into the seduction, it's more so based on, like, if I see her, if she got room in my life, if not she
Mhm.
got room, but if I see she can fit in my life, or I like her and shit, then I put the
Mhm.
moves on. But a lot of most chicks don't make it there. It's just like, hey, what's up?
Mhm.
Talk to them for a little bit, see if they're gonna come to the crib. If they ain't with it, we ain't with it. I don't, any type of resistance, I'm on to the next and shit. What
Mhm.
is it for you that makes you separate? Because for me, that's what it is. It's me. If I like her and if I think that she
Mhm.
can fit good into my life, then I have to put these moves on her and shit.
Mhm.
Or sometimes I get in moments in my teachables, because they like to see
Mhm.
receipts behind the scenes. So you have to,
Right.
you got to provide them
Mhm.
receipts and shit. So I do it then. But for you, what is it that separates? Okay, this just is going. I'm gonna just smash this. Versus, okay, I need to put the moves on this one. Like, what is it
Mhm.
that separates for you?
So as far as like, so you're saying like what separates it between a woman that I'ma just like try
Smash.
to smash, or a woman I'm gonna put some type of work into
Right, right,
and shit. Yeah. So I think what it is like, most women on the front end is just smashing. You understand what I'm saying?
right,
Now, my thing is that if I was to like seduce a woman and like try to make things happen, if it's not happening at the moment or whatever, there still has to be, and I actually talk about this in one of my programs on the Bad Boy membership, is that, I talk about how when it comes to seduction, she still has to be moving in my direction.
right, right,
So what happens is you have women who they're, and this comes with guys understanding the game and reading body language, understanding the vibe and all this other stuff. You have some women where they're playing games and they're being attention whores, and then you have some women who, they're interested, but they're trying to hold back because they're trying to up their value in your eyes.
right,
You understand what I'm saying? And so the latter is usually a woman who she's interested, but she looks at you and says, "Man, I know King Dre got chicks,
yeah,
like crazy. So I'm gonna try to separate myself and not make it too easy for him."
right,
But
right,
you know that she's feeling you. So women like that, I'll interact with. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know that she's doing that to try to separate herself, but I know she still has interest.
right,
Versus the girl who's just like there because she's like playing a game and she's being goofy.
right,
Now,
right,
if the girl's playing a game being goofy, I don't deal with her. I'm like, I just charge to the game.
right,
But if I see that I'm attracted to her, she's attracted to me, but she's just trying to, I'm aware that she knows that I'm that dude, which is why she's acting that way. I'll still pull her in and reel her in. You understand what I'm saying? And
right,
and what happens is that usually she starts coming closer and closer and closer to the point where now she has that high interest. But this is something that is, I feel like, is a little bit more advanced for like for men to understand. Because even with the thing with seduction, what a lot of guys don't understand is that to be able to seduce a woman, that's advanced game. Like you really got to have confidence. Your mouthpiece got to be tight.
Yes.
You understand? You got to know how to think on your feet. So I think a lot of dudes, what happens is that they're not even at that place to where they know how to get it to that point,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of guys settle because they're like, well, I got this girl here, she likes me, so I'm just going to stick with her, versus knowing how to actually attract women in a way where they can seduce her to get her to this next point. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So that's another thing with it too. So yeah, so as long as I can, as long as she's moving in my direction, and as long as I know that she has that interest in to where she's going along with where I'm trying to go, then we're good.
Right.
But if I see her like just sort of trying to use the situation for her own benefit to just get attention, then I just cut that off. Like I cut
Yeah.
it off
Right.
immediately. I'm like,
Right.
she's on
Right.
some years. I'm like, she's
Right.
done.
Right. So for sure, let's
Yeah.
get into this, right? Men who can do this like a man, right? You have a wife and a girlfriend, and it's not men
Right.
because anybody can do it, but men who have
Mhm.
this mental capacity for it.
Mhm.
I
Right.
commend men who have the mental capacity to manage this type of. So I fuck with pimps, it's like the
Mhm.
elite level shit, right? To what they can tolerate, right?
Right.
um, because you have a wife and you have a girlfriend, not just a side chick that you just smash
Right.
every now and again. You
Mhm.
have an actual
Right.
girlfriend that's very
Mhm.
valuable to you and helps you out with
Mhm.
your business and contributes
Right.
to the progression of your life and is
Mhm.
invested in you, right? You have a
Right.
wife that's doing the same thing, right?
Mhm.
It's one thing to have some side hoe that you hitting. It's
Mhm.
another thing to,
Mhm.
be in two separate relationships and you over here with one and you over here with one, but yours
Right.
is, you know, no, you, it's another thing to where y'all in the same house, right? So it's not like y'all in the same house and everything is just going on one accord, but you over here and you over
Mhm.
here and it's all working together, right?
Mhm.
And it's all peaceful. How do you
Mhm.
pull that off? Give the guy some game as far as like how do you manage the different emotions? How do you stop the
Mhm.
jealousy from because women are jealous and territorial, especially about
Mhm.
resources and shit. So
Right.
how do you balance that? Keep them where they need to be, keep them without stressing you out, and
Mhm.
not being uh provide them that level of security that's needed
Mhm.
in order to maintain something like that.
Right. Right. So I would say mainly it's really just it's really consistency and honesty, because like you have to start from the beginning, letting her know what you want. So like when I first got with my wife, we were just like dating and hooking up, whatever. And then when she became my girl and my wife became my girlfriend, I told her, I said, listen, if you want to be in a relationship with me, I'm gonna want to keep it open. So that means I'm gonna be seeing other women. And so she was down with that. And so what happened was because she was down with that, when I was interacting with other women, I would let the women know, like, hey, listen, I got a girl or I got a wife, at whatever point it was. And they make the decision based off of me saying that. So
Right.
what happens is it's really just the honesty and being upfront. See, a lot of guys don't realize this. Most women don't mind or don't really, it's not really a big deal if you have other women. They just want to know and to be transparent. Women don't care about you having other women. Women care about being deceived. You see
Right.
what I'm
I say
saying?
the same
That's
thing. And
that's really the issue.
yeah, and another thing, like women are very good. Women are very fucking skilled at. If you be honest with them, they'll accept it because they know how to stop themselves from going too far. Versus
Mhm.
men, we just go all for in. I mean, guys
Right,
like me, I do, but most guys, they just go all in. But a woman know how far to invest her emotions. She know
right.
when to stop and they
Mhm.
have. It's weird that they know how to do that. So,
Right.
I believe that to be, like you say, the honesty helps that.
Yeah, because it's like it's something where they have, you want them to make a choice of what they're doing. You
Right,
understand what I'm saying?
right,
Versus a lot of guys when they do things behind a woman's back, it's like she feels deceived when she finds out. She's like, damn, well, and that's where all the craziness and the emotions and the craziness comes in. Now, it's not to say that, when I'm in this relationship, it's not to say that it's like 100% perfect and all that other stuff. But what it is that on on my part, I have to be consistent with my wife and my girlfriend, which means that, there's certain days that, I spend time with my wife, certain days I spend time with my girl. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, right,
And then, when I say, okay, we're gonna do this, we do that thing I said we were gonna do. And so it's just basically just, being honest and being consistent and being a man of your word. And then everything just sort of falls into place, because what happens is that she feels secure. They feel secure in this situation because you are the type of guy who is on point, who is
right,
consistent, who does what he says and says what he does.
right.
Now, if you're the type of
Yeah,
person who's all over the place, this is not going to work out for you.
right,
You know
right.
what I'm
That's
saying? This
heavy,
is
bro.
going to be crazy. You know
That's
what I'm
heavy.
saying?
That's heavy. I think that's gonna go over a lot of guys' head. That's fucking heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Mm-hmm.
consistent actions gives them the
Right.
security that they need to basically keep
Exactly.
themselves on the leash,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. Not in a
Mm-hmm.
bad way, but keep themselves, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, where they need to be. That's dope, bro. That's dope.
Right.
You
Right. That's all. That's really all it is. Because a lot of guys, they think it's something, like what the problem is, and I was actually talking about this. I did this speech at the conference of masculine excellence with
Donovan
Donovan
Sharp, shout out to
uh,
them.
in Florida. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was saying in my speech, I was like, the problem is that a lot of men are scared to be honest with women, and we lie because we think the truth about who we are is not going to be accepted by a woman. You understand what I'm saying? And so what we do is that we lie to women because that truth, we're scared to be that. So once you're have the courage to be that truth about who you are and be honest about who you are, right? Then you're allowing the woman to make a choice based off of your truth. And then what happens is that because you're being honest, right? She's like, finally, you understand, like a dude who's just letting me know what it is so that I can rest in my femininity in this situation. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
Because a lot of times what happens is that women have been lied to for so long by men that they always assume you're lying. They always assume
right,
you got some underhanded thing. They always assume at some point you're going to pull the rug up, from under them, and it's going to be an issue. So if
right.
you say, "Listen, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. Take it or leave it," and it's like, okay, cool. Like I can get down with this because I know what's happening. I see what's going on. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
So that's what it is. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I again tip my hat to you because I can't deal with one bitch right now, but let alone two or three, bro. To be honest, I'm just
It's a
coasting.
lot. It's a lot of work, though.
Yeah,
I
it's a
tell
lot
you,
of
it's a lot
work.
of work. I tell you, it's like it's not for the faint of heart, because
Yeah,
it is work
but that's
that you got to put
again,
in.
that goes to show your dedication to the game, and which is why
Mm,
that same level of dedication carries over into the personal life and shit like that, which is how
mm,
you're able to take your business to the next level and just live this shit basically.
right.
But again, I tip my hat to you for that because again, your women, it's not just they just taking from you and shit.
Mm.
The one, shout out to her, she's more visible. She's, like,
Oh yeah,
posting all your
April. Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, shout out to
Okay,
April.
yeah,
Posting
that's
all
my
your
girl.
I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
wanna say her name and,
Yeah.
God, I
Oh no,
mean, she public anyway, but I just didn't wanna be
right,
the one to do it. But, yeah, she
right.
posts your link. She provides you tremendous she pours into
That's
you. You see what I'm saying?
that's facts.
While you have something else, and she knows that. That's dope.
Mm,
That's dope. So,
that's facts.
from
That's real
player to
stuff.
player,
And
that's dope.
my wife, she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes too. So it's like I always tell guys, if a woman's gonna be in your life, she should be contributing to
Yeah,
to whatever you're doing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it should be something going on. You know what I mean? So you can't just be sitting there looking pretty all the time.
That's where
So
that's why I think personally this whole red pill space comes from is because
mm,
these guys with no game, they have no idea how to deal with
right,
women. They don't know that they don't understand that women feel best. Women are at their happiest serving and contributing to you and like
mm,
using their powers to see you grow. Like just like how
exactly.
we use our masculine powers to help and heal and protect people, and that makes us
Hmm.
feel good. It's the same way with women when they using their powers and they can see the fruits of their labor and the fruits of what
Hmm.
they putting into. It's the best feeling in the world, and I believe a lot of these
Exactly.
guys that create this content, this red pill content, don't know what that's like, and so they get a woman and they just pour into the bitch for 20 years, right? And then when it's
Exactly.
over,
Right.
right? When it's over
Hmm.
because she's bored, she don't have a purpose,
Right.
right? She don't like you like
Hmm.
that, and she
Hmm.
don't want you to pour into her. She wants you to give her a
Right.
purpose. So when she goes to divorce you, it's not the body count.
Mhm.
It's that you know I need a life, right? But I
Right.
think these guys end up feeling like they get the short end of the stick because the women they were with didn't contribute. You
Exactly.
see what I'm
That's
saying? And then they have
facts.
a problem. Well, bitch, I ain't giving this bitch half of nothing. Fuck her and them
Mhm,
kids because the woman
mhm.
didn't earn the keep. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
She
so they
didn't do
get up there and be
anything
like,
right.
man, these hoes ain't shit. And
Mhm,
when women leave me, I don't feel like that. It stings because
mm.
it's like, you lose something valuable, but I don't feel like I got taken advantage of. I don't feel like,
Exactly.
I don't feel like I'm just fucking, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's
Mm,
that's a that's a key. I want to move on. I want to move on to something you said the other day, right?
mm,
Um, Speaking of red pill, right? You said
mm.
most red pill men think women are better than them.
Mhm.
Break that
Right.
down for me. We got to get,
That's facts.
break that
Yeah, because
down.
you know what the thing is, and I hear this a lot too, and it's like a lot of things you gotta understand. A lot of the stuff is passed around, like a lot of sayings, and sometimes people aren't really thinking about it too much, but there's underlying meaning behind what people say. So, for example, there's a thing where they say, women are born with value and men have to create their value.
I hate that
So basically, what
fucking
they're
saying.
saying is, yeah, saying like a guy has to like work and get a good job and make a lot of money and then he'll be valuable, right? But women are born with value, meaning like, well, she's valuable because she's hot, which is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm saying. Where the those talking points, what it's basically saying is that it's coming from a place of a man thinking that a woman's beauty is her value, and his value comes from his ability to like have resources, and that's what it is.
It's
You
lopsided.
understand? Right. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's unfortunately like a beta male talking point type of thing.
Right.
Because that's coming from a guy who's sort of like experience with women is coming from a place of having to be a provider, and that's it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? The provider financially, basically, what it comes down to.
Right.
So the thing is that the reason why I'm saying a lot of red pill guys think women are better than them, because in order for you to think that all a woman has to do is exist, but you have to work to be valuable, you're basically saying the woman is better than you because she
Right.
don't have to work. She just has to exist. Whereas you have to work up to where her value is. It's like ridiculous. So that's what I'm saying. Where it's sort of that mindset that gets guys thinking that the woman is better than them, and that causes them to have issues when it comes to them dealing with women. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? It's crazy.
Right. And
Yeah.
you look at it like you look at the game jaded. Like that
Right.
would make me jaded if I thought,
Mhm.
well, you just handed your shit and I gotta work for it. No,
Right.
she
Exactly.
ain't born with no fucking value.
Mhm.
She's not valuable till she provides value. Period.
Exactly right.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying? That look
Exactly.
shit come a dime a dozen. It's millions of
Mhm.
beautiful women on the planet. So I think
Exactly.
if more guys took on this type of mentality, that a lot of the jadedness and bitterness will go away because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, she's born with value. Well, when you're going into a situation where you thinking that, that'll never add up. Like, was all
Right.
she got to do is show up, and I got to
Mhm.
pour into it. That doesn't add up. Like it's like you'll always feel like what I'm giving is not worth it
Mm.
because all she has to do is show up. No, all she got to do is
Exactly.
show up because that's what you require.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. That's
Oh,
facts.
the women are on the pedestal because you put them there. Moving along, right? You said something too, like you said a lot of stuff that's like profound, but if
Mm.
I had the time, we'd sit and chop it up all day, right? But
Yeah.
one thing that I like that you said too, and I want you to break down, you said you can't use logic to get pussy. Break that down
Mm.
for
Right.
the fellas.
Right. Yeah, I think what happens is that a lot of guys think that they can come up with some mathematical formula to get girls, or just say, well, if I did this and then I did that, then that equals me having sex. And like, for example, a lot of guys, especially nice guys, like they think that, well, I was nice to you, I took you out, I spent money on you, I bought you flowers, so that equals me having sex. And it's like, no, it doesn't. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you
Right.
can't logic your way into the vagina. Also, sometimes what happens is a lot of guys do this. I see this online, where they try to logically explain to a woman why she should be with them or why she should be with the types of guys. Well, girl, you should be with this good guy who has a good job and who has a 401k because it makes more sense for you to be with him than Pookie and Ray Ray. And it's like they're trying to logically explain this to women, but what they don't understand is that what makes a woman's pussy wet, what makes her, like get that feeling is the way that a guy makes her feel.
Right.
So it doesn't have to do with logic. It has to do with feelings. It has to do with energy.
Right.
So that guy who's the Pookie and Ray Ray who might not necessarily, have a good job or just be on the streets or whatever, he's some thug, right?
Right.
What'll happen is that, he will basically make her feel horny. He'll make her feel desired. He'll make her feel those feelings. Whereas the guy who, has a nice job, went to a good college, all that other crazy stuff, even though on paper he makes more sense, it doesn't matter because it doesn't need to make sense. She just has to feel it. It's almost like, I always uses this analogy. I always say, like pizza is more attractive than broccoli. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? But broccoli is probably way better for you than pizza. But if you ask people to choose which one they want to eat, most people would choose pizza. Why? Because pizza tastes better. It makes you feel better when it's going down. You're like, oh, this is more enjoyable to eat, even
Right.
though the broccoli is the better choice. So a lot of guys will try to logically explain, well, you should eat your broccoli because broccoli is better. And it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I want to still eat the pizza. And
Right.
that's how it is with women, is that you can logically explain why you are the better person to be with, or why these women shouldn't be with these guys and they should be with these other guys, and why these women out here are messing with the thugs and the bad boys, but they should be messing with the upstanding citizens. You can say that all day till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, she's gonna go with what she feels. You understand? Like there's a girl I know who she and I've had this type of situation happen a lot, where I talk to certain women where there's a dude who, she's with the dude, or has a girl, and she didn't know he had a girl, but then she found out later and she was falling in love with him. But even though she found out he had a girl, she still want to deal with him, and now she wants to have his baby. And you're like, really, you want to have a baby with some dude who's been lying to you and have this whole other life and has been dishonest or whatever? But he makes her feel certain things.
Right.
She's in love. You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense logically, but this is what it is. And guys have to understand that part of the game is that, it's that feeling. It's just, and this is why a lot of guys are like, they try to think, oh, well, if you're this super good looking guy, it's going to be easy for you. And all you got to do is be good looking. And this is what guys think, because they're like, well, if you look good, then this should happen. That's not how it works with women. It's about how they feel. This is why guys who are average looking or whatever can get bad joints, because they
Right.
do things that make the woman feel stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's real talk, bro. That's real talk. Again, elite level, man. I hope y'all paying attention. I hope y'all writing this shit
Mhm.
down. I hope y'all
Mhm.
soaking this shit up. Before I get you out of here, Mr. Lucario,
Mhm.
man, I gotta get something. I gotta get your top 5 game rules, right? So your
All
five
right.
game rules that you think that you believe that men should apply, or that you apply to your own life. The top 5 rules and why.
Right.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so I say number one, definitely I say be yourself. I think that's very underrated. I think people think that's the, like, sometimes people say that's the most goofiest advice, but this is what I say. The reason why it sounds like goofy advice is because most people aren't really being themselves, even though they think they are. But if you truly were being yourself, right, then you'd actually get better results. You'll get more of what you want, and you'll actually get more success, because what'll happen is that if you're truly being yourself, what you'll do is you'll really go after what you want, and therefore you'll put yourself in alignment with what you actually want to attract, and then you'll start attracting that type of woman and that type of person, right? So that's number one. I say is be yourself. Number two game rule I say is, don't let pussy control you. So I think a lot of times what happens is that you have guys out there who are so thirsty for sex because they're not getting sex, that what they'll do is that they'll run into women who have more game than them, and the women will start running those guys because those guys are letting the pussy control them. So a woman will, say certain things or do certain things and have the guy follow her because he's controlled by the pussy. So he'll end up doing things that he would never do. He'll get out of character. He'll start like, making moves based off of her. And that's because he's letting the pussy control him. So I would say that a guy has to always make sure he's in control of himself, regardless of the woman that he's dealing with, the vagina that's there, how horny he is. He has to make sure that he's making the decision based off of his own principles and standards, and not letting the vagina control his situation. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Now, the third game rule I would say is to be self-aware. Now, what does that mean? Being self-aware is understanding yourself and understanding yourself in relation to everyone else, right? So there's a lot of guys who, for example, like let's say if you're a 6'5", muscle bound type of dude, you know what I'm saying? And let's say you're out here, talking to women or whatever, right? You need to be self aware and understand that there's going to be certain girls who are going to be interested in you because you're tall. And there's going to be certain girls who might be scared of you because you're tall and have a lot of muscles. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so just understanding that will give you some insight onto why women are reacting to you the way they're reacting to you.
Right.
You understand? Being self-aware is like you understand, okay, man, I'm getting women who are checking me out because I dress really well. You understand that that's why they're checking you out, or you look a certain way, or you can understand on the flip side. I'm self-aware, understanding the reason why I'm not getting where I want to go when it comes to the dating game is because I'm not putting in the type of work I need to put in, or I'm scared of rejection. That's why I'm not approaching. So once you're self-aware, you'll know what your next step should be. You understand?
Right.
You'll know what you need to improve on. You know what you need to fall back with. You know what you need to do more of. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got to be very, very self-aware that, like, even myself, like there's times where, for example, like I know that when I deal with certain women, they're sometimes cautious because they're like, oh, you're this player guy. You understand? I understand that happens. I understand that there's certain women who like me because of physically they like the fact of my dark skin. They're like, oh, it's so chocolatey and all that. I get all that type of stuff all the time. So it's just understanding how that goes down. So that's number 3. Number 4, the fourth game rule is never let anything or anyone shake your confidence. Right. So what happens is a lot of times guys, they let their confidence level be dictated by women, by situations, and by circumstances that are happening when they're doing their everyday things. So like they'll let 1 minute they're feeling good about themselves, thinking they're that dude, they think they're the shit, and then a woman might say, oh well, I don't like the way you dress, or I don't like your tie, or oh, you ain't all that, and all this other stuff. So now he's second guessing himself.
Right.
Or he might be around guys who are let's say more financially well off than him, and now he's feeling insecure about his money. You understand? Or he's a guy with a better car than he has, and now he's starting to feel. You see what I'm saying? Like you gotta not make any of these things affect how you feel about yourself, because what happens is that's not real confidence. Real confidence is, or core confidence is, you understand your value and your value doesn't change no matter what. Meaning that, like a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll be feeling good about themselves and then they'll feel bad about themselves after they approach the girl and the girl rejected them. So I always say you should be at a 10 before you approach the girl. You're at a 10 while you're talking to the girl, and you're at a 10 after you talk to the girl, no matter what happens. So I always tell guys, don't let any of that stuff shake your confidence, because that's the thing. If you have that core confidence, then you're going to have a lot of success in a game. You know what I'm saying? And then I say the last game rule that I got here is understanding that the game is about you. You understand? And that's something that my dude Steve the Dean always says, and I totally agree with that, is that the game is about you, meaning that you have to make everything that you're doing about you, right? And then therefore what happens is that when you deal with women, the women are following that. They're following your situation and your mission. This is why even when we talk about the word submission, if you break down the word submission, sub means under, and then mission. So she's under the mission, but you have to be the one to set what the mission is. You have the mission statement of who you are, what you're about, what you're trying to do, the direction you're trying to go. And so that's making it about you. And so what happens is that instead of trying to get into a woman's world, you're bringing a woman into your world. You see what I'm saying? And that's when you make the game about you. And that's when not only you're going to benefit, but she's going to benefit. Because when she has a strong, dominant, masculine man who knows what he's about and who's making a game about him and understands where he's trying to go, what happens is that she's going to benefit from being with a guy who's a leader, a guy who's confident, a guy who can guide her. And then that's going to make it even better for her. So it's going to be great for you and it's going to be great for her if you're making a game about you. So that's what I'll say with
Real
that.
talk game. I hope y'all wrote that down. Hope y'all wrote that ism down.
Mhm. No
Man,
shit.
I gotta it's been great having you on. I appreciate you coming to bless
Yes,
the
sir.
show with the ism, the knowledge, the game, the insights. Man, I really appreciate it. We got to do it again.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
uh, let them know where they can find you, and so they can come get some of this good game from.
Yes, sir. So you guys can hit me up. Always go to badboymembership.com. That's the website where you can get 45 through 90-minute audio and video dating advice, tutorials every month, step-by-step dating advice every month that I drop. Go to badboymembership.com. If you need me for coaching or any of my books, products, and DVD programs, make sure you guys go to mr.locario.com. That's mrlocario.com. And also, you guys can hit me up on Instagram at real Mr. Locario. Yeah,
For
that's where we
sure.
at.
For sure.
Mhm.
The truth is inside you.
Yes,
Let them
sir. The
know.
truth is inside of you.
All right, yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. Fellas, it's been another great episode of the Captain Saver Bro Show. I'm your gracious game advisor,
Yep.
yours truly, King Dre. I'm gone. I appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me, man. Y'all be
All right,
safe.
for sure.